Let's talk about Jesus, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus. I don't know why, but that song has been in my head the entire day that I have been planning on recording this video. If you are familiar with the song, you realize that the lyrics aren't really appropriate for this topic, so I don't really know what's going on there. But after my daughter died, I became extremely depressed, like major depression. Had trouble getting out of bed, had trouble taking care of myself. I wasn't eating. I created a safe space in my home, a sacred space where I could go to do spiritual work. At the beginning, it was just meditation. I got really skilled at it. I meditated more then than I do now. When we get into a particular meditative state, you're able to project your consciousness into other dimensions. And dimensions are, like I've said before, states of awareness. They're not places. You're not going anywhere. You access these higher dimensions through imagination. We need to be careful with our imaginations because they're not just imaginations. Whatever that you can create with your imagination, you are creating in real time in the other dimensions. When I get into a meditative state, I'm able to say like, okay, I'm going to communicate with a spirit guide, and I have already established a creative location in a higher dimension through imagination where we go to meet and to talk. I didn't know how to consciously do this at this time. My mind kind of did it itself. Either that or Archangel Michael created the scene for me. But I was meditating and I found myself standing in a tower, and I got the feeling like it was a castle, but it was a big Buddha statue, and I was in the Buddha's head looking through one of the Buddha's big eyes. It was a huge window, and I was looking out over like a gorgeous valley with water, and it was all sparkly and green. I felt a presence behind me, and I turned around, and there was just this giant man, all in gold. He was in armor, the stereotypical rendition of Archangel Michael that we normally see. He was very large. There's a cardinal outside my window. That's a really beautiful sign of like loved ones visiting. Also, it probably wants peanuts because I usually feed the birds every morning and I forgot to. But anyway, he had long blonde hair, shoulder length or so, and he embraced me. It was the most loving feeling I have ever felt in my entire life. It was a type of love that really doesn't have any sort of a third dimensional equivalent on this planet. The only thing that I can compare that to was the love that I felt for my child. I ended up having a second child, and when she was born and I was able to hold her, that flood of hormones that the mother gets after her child is born, that's the only thing that is even comparable to the level of love that I felt from Archangel Michael. But even then, it was only like a fraction of what this experience was like. He gave me a hug, and then he dematerialized. For like a week after that, I was so much better. Because by that point, I had lost my child. I had lost a man that I was with for years, and I was becoming the family scapegoat. I was not supported through my grief. I was just isolated and alone. Like, it lasted for about a week, that feeling like, I can do this because I know that somewhere somebody loves me. I knew that somebody somewhere loved me. I didn't know who this person was at the time, but it was very powerful. And then Jesus. So this is very interesting. I was getting hints from spirit that I am meant to go down a shamanic route, that I'm a shaman, a knower, people who know. I started getting into the more divine feminine practices, which is magic. Magic is the mother's realm. Somewhere along the line, I was introduced to the idea of spirit guides. The message that I have been getting from spirit about how all this works, and really I will never know until I die because we don't actually know, right? So prior to incarnating onto the planet, we choose everything about our experience. We choose the parents that we're going to have. We choose the genetics that we want to take from each parent. So we choose what we look like. We choose the difficulties that we're going to have because we choose the toxic family patterns that we're born into or lack thereof. Whatever that you believe that you need to grow as a soul, you're going to choose. You choose your name. You choose the day and time that you're born. You choose where you live, and you also choose your guides, the beings that give you direction in this life, because it's just so dark here. It's very hard to see. And by see, I mean like it's very hard to understand truth. There's lots of illusion, lots of polarity. The bigger picture is completely lost on us because it's such a dense consciousness level. And as you get higher in your awareness, things become way more clear. All of us have guides that are here to help us. Many of us don't even know they exist, but they're being helped nonetheless. If you're curious, if you haven't figured out who your guides are, you can just go into YouTube and you can look up meditation journey to meet spirit guide. So I did one of those meditations, and it makes me laugh because I didn't believe in Jesus. And then in this particular one, it was like, now turn around and meet your guide. And I was like, Jesus? Jesus presented himself as one of my guides. And I was like, how bad was it when you died? That sounds like it was the most painful experience ever. How did you get through it? And he didn't answer. So it was telepathic communication. When you go into the higher dimensions, it's all telepathic communication, which is actually possible in the third dimension as well. Have you ever been driving down the highway and you just look at someone and they're staring at you in the next car over? I mean, that's telepathy. We use telepathy for everything all the time. We just don't realize it. If he didn't answer, it just means it wasn't important. It doesn't matter what he experienced. All that matters is that I dedicate my life to the light. That's why he came to me. But there is a theory that that whole crucifixion may have been fabricated, and he actually managed to escape and just preach in other parts of the world. But anyway, so yeah, the first time I met with him, he told me that I can walk in his light if I want to. And I was like, sure thing. Don't know what that means. This is how non-Christian I was at the time. I didn't understand what the heck it meant to walk in Jesus's light, to walk in his footsteps, to follow him. And right over my head. But now I understand, and now I do. But it took a while because there are lots of things that you have to drop off to follow Jesus. I've had to walk away from extremely toxic relationships. I've had to say goodbye to my family. I've had to draw really hard boundaries with people. There was a lot of really painful shadow work I had to do. There was an addiction I had to let go of. That's all part of the baptism, right? So he had me walk through the river. The river is the fourth dimension. It's like a web of belief systems that we exist within that create our reality. So the last video I made, which was shadow work in the 5D shift, when we are peeling off those onion layers, when we're doing a shadow work, when we're dropping all of those belief systems and that guilt and that shame and the stuff that we don't need to carry, the stuff that Jesus wants us to put down, those are all caused by this web of lies, basically. It's a web of lies that we have to like pull off, push ourselves through this web of just a bunch of bullshit that we learned from our family and from society about how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to think. And that is crossing that river. It's like a stream of thought. It's really hard to make it across the river that is like trying to push you over the whole time, trying to drown you. People drown every day in this sorrow of lies that they believe about themselves, that governs their life and throws them into depression and addiction and stuff. You can get baptized if you'd like, but the true esoteric, mystical process of being reborn and being baptized involves walking through that river of lies, pushing through that web of false belief systems so that you come out who you actually are, free of all of the baggage that the world has put on you. That's true rebirth. The physical baptism helps because the water is blessed. You gotta be careful who blesses that water though. There's a lot of corruption in some of these churches. I would prefer to be blessed by the mother herself, so I would like go into the ocean or something. If you like haven't been baptized or you would like to rebaptize yourself, that's how I would do it, because there's nothing dirty about nature. Energetically, there's nothing dirty about the natural world. If you do like a physical ritual of cleansing, that is going to help get your energetic body into a place where it's ready to start crossing that river. But just being baptized in and of itself without doing the shadow work isn't really going to do anything. You got to do the work. He's been guiding me a lot through this process, and I just find it so beautiful because I never believed in him, but he came to me anyway. It's really cool. He was prepping me to step into the light. He was getting me used to walking, putting one foot in front of the other, helping me understand next right steps, if that makes sense. Because I had gotten myself into one hell of a fucking mess. Pardon my French, but if you go listen to my videos over the last 9 months or whatever, it was a mess. I was torn apart. I needed help being put back together, and that's what he helped me do. There were other entities and spirit guides and angels and stuff that helped me do this. So we're moving into an age where humanity becomes its own messiah. We're being asked to remember ourselves, to remember our own divinity, to remember that we do not need a savior outside of self. We are what we have been waiting for. That's us when we come into unity consciousness, when we unite as one and we stop categorizing ourselves based on differences. That's when we take our power back, because our power is in togetherness, is in that unity. And this isn't like, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. It's not like, we're just sitting around a fire singing at each other's faces and smoking weed. No, it's not about love. It's about truth. It's about creating peace and doing what is right and true, regardless of how difficult it is or how scary it might be. In order for you to fearlessly move through life and be willing to draw those swords as necessary, but also know when to put it down, you need to operate from the heart space. This is strength. This is fire, and fire burns. I'm not suggesting that we're going to hurt people, but what I need people to understand is that truth and heart-based living isn't soft all the time. There's a strength in that softness that comes out when it's required. It's very often underestimated. I've been underestimated my whole life, but there's a benefit to that. People don't see it coming. I wanted to tell a little bit of what I think that the angels are. So for majority of my life, I didn't believe that they existed. I wasn't religious. I wasn't raised religious, and I didn't believe in any of it. So when you then get catapulted into experiences where you have no choice but to realize that these things are real, the scientific aspect of your personality steps in to start wondering, well, what are these entities exactly? What is their role? How do they function in the grander scheme of the universe? Our body kind of mirrors the way the universe works. So if you've ever seen the energetic connections within the space, it's kind of like brain synapses. If you've seen pictures of it, it's really cool. Scientists are starting to contemplate the idea that the sun might be conscious, that planets could be conscious, and they are. I'm just gonna be honest here. Everything has consciousness. We might be living within a conscious construct, like we're living inside the body of something else. Like the earth is a tiny cell within a bigger body. You can't really compare it exactly to physicality, but I'm using a paradigm here to help you understand what I've been getting. The angels are like part of the nervous system. So if you like burn your finger, immediately the nervous system knows, and in a split second your brain sends that message to the finger to pull it away, right? And so when you call on an angel, it doesn't matter where they are, they will be there in an instant, and it's because they are everywhere. There is individual consciousness, but they operate as one consciousness, and they're all over the place, and they're known as messengers because the nervous system is the information carrying system of the body. Different parts of the nervous system have different roles. It's all very fascinating. So that's my 2 cents on it, and I'm gonna let you go. Happy holidays, yeah, yeah, yeah. Happy New Year.